What's up, everybody? It's your girl Kiwan, and I am back with Reasonable Doubt Season 3, Episode 8, Ignorance. Okay? Before I start, make sure you like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell button so you can be updated on every video I drop. Y'all make sure you like the videos so I can stay algorithm. Okay? Alright. So the episode, because it's going to be a little lengthy. So it was good, though. It was good. And I was like, wait, what? So now we back at Ozzy? Anyway, so the episode starts with we see Alex we find out that Alex got jumped, and he got jumped pretty bad. And so y'all know he was in a hospital and he kind of coded, and Kristen was on the phone with somebody, but then we find out she was on the phone with Ozzy, letting him know that he didn't have to worry about Alex anymore. You know, he's been beat up pretty badly, and I doubted if he even make it through the night. So she also tells him that means he won't be talking to nobody. So Ozzy was like, well, I really needed him, and I think Ozzy needed him to kind of testify, I think, or I don't know if it was for the drug supply or what. But Kristen says that that Alex was a liar and a manipulator, and he was asking for all of this to happen. And Ozzy was like, all of what? What are you talking about? So then we see Ozzy's mom, Rosie. Is it Rosie? I want to say Rosie, I think. She's paying off this woman a wad of cash to beat up Alex. So Kristen did something to Alex so he can code and pass away, but the mama set it up and staged it so he could get beat up because of the stuff that he has done. I was like, you know what? We ain't been keeping our eye on the mama. And where's Monica? Okay, like, is she in jail or is she just roaming around? Because I feel like everybody had their hand in something. And all of them should go to jail at this point. Everybody should be locked up for something. Because they all played a part. So, we get to Jax's house and we see Mama Lou is settled in. Eddie has helped move her things in. And he stepped out of the room to get some. He stepped out of the room, checked his phone. He got a whole bunch of missed calls from Chelsea. So in the next scene, we see Sally. She gets an email from Chris's attorney, and Bill was like, hey, if you forward it to me, I can look at it for you. And I was thinking, well, maybe this is a situation with Billable Bill and Sally is going to get a little messy. I don't know, but we got to see. So we found out that Alex was actually, because he coded, we figured he was unalive, but we actually find out he is actually unalive. And they are still, Jax and Billable Bill are still working on Isaac's case. All right. And I will say this, just like her and the last guy, Morris Chestnut, forgot his name on the show, but they work well together. But we see that Jax worked well with Billable Bill as well, except he is a snake. Like, he's trying so hard to get this partnership. I don't know. He still can't be trusted. Even though he's good at his job and he's been showing up for Jax, he still can't be trusted. Okay? So Jax goes over, where Jax asks Daniel to stay. She confronts Daniel about sleeping with Kristen. Daniel was like, she was like, are you sleeping with Kristen? And he was like, joggers. And she was like, what? He said summer, spring, September. If y'all don't know where that came from, they came from Cherie Whitfield when she was at the reunion, and Andy asked her when was her She by Sheree line coming out, and she was like, joggers. Shout out to Sheree, okay? So Daniel admitted to sleeping with Kristen, and he said it's nothing. And I'm looking at him like, oh no, you really don't show up like that. And so he asked, hey, did Crystal snitch on me? Basically, Jax was like, no, she had her suspicions, but you just confirmed it. So Jax told Daniel that she could have been the one to unalive Wendy. You don't know, like, this lady is not okay. She is not well. And he was like, kind of taking up for Kristen. And so Jax was like, listen, everything you're doing with her is clouding your judgment. And so he promised Jax, he apologized to Jax, and then he promised that, he'll get X, Y, and Z. So then Daniel goes to Crystal and is like, Jax is disappointed in me and I'm mad at you. And because he goes to Crystal and say, hey, Jax is disappointed in me, and because she's disappointed in me, I'm mad at you. And I'm looking at him like, you got some nerve, because Crystal wasn't the one who told you to stick your up in Kristen. You did that all on your own. You did it because I don't know if you was lacking in the department and you wasn't busy in that particular department. However, you slept with Kristen. You cannot blame nobody else but you. Okay? So Kristen goes into the house, and Isaiah is sitting there on his phone. As she walks in, he gets up, he gets mad, and he walks out. And she was, like, I didn't do anything and all of the things. And I don't know. I don't like her. I don't trust her. I don't like her. Like, she gotta go. Okay, she got to go. Anyway, we meet Chelsea. Chelsea is Eddie's daughter. He's picking her up from the police station. He asked her, how did this whole situation happen? She said it wouldn't have happened if he would have picked up his phone. And he said he was busy. She asked, were you busy with Jax? And he said, yeah. And she was like, well, did you get the money? What y'all two got going on? Because I don't like this. Okay? I don't like this. And Chelsea is played by Lori Harvey, if y'all did not know. I guess my issue, the way Eddie continues to manipulate people, we see where Chelsea gets that from as well, or shift blame, because she was like, well, if you had picked up your phone, none of this would have happened. No, whatever you did it because you seem like that type of person that's about that drama. That's what I get from her. So apparently, this is what I'm gathering about Miss Chelsea. So she is some type of con artist. That was my opinion. I really don't know what to say other than, she has 3 kids by 3 men with daddy. She has daddy issues. She had a fight with a customer at her job, and she also collects her dad's disability checks as extra income. Anyway, he tells her to stay away from Jax. So we're at dinner with Jax and Lewis, right? Lewis still thinks that Eddie is up to something, and Jax thinks the only thing he was hiding is his mom's illness. Lewis apologized, and he was like, I just don't want you to be hurt. So this is my whole thing with Jax and Lewis. Lewis is kind of in a roundabout way trying to tell her, but she dismisses Lewis. She actually dismisses him and tells him he's tripping. So later on, when you see her get frustrated with Lewis because he knew what was happening, I don't understand. Like, Jax kind of get on my nerves, and her dad actually get on my nerves. Anyway, Daniel goes over to Alex's house, steals some papers off the desk. The landlord doesn't know that Alex is unalive. Okay? So we get back in the courthouse. We have the forensic pathologist on the stand. Billable Bill is questioning him. And then I guess he's cross-examined or whatever by the prosecutor. I think I got that right. I don't know. Anyway, Ozzy is having more flashbacks the night of Wendy's murder while he's sitting there in court. Again, I thought he was going to have some kind of fit. I'm looking at him like, what's wrong with him? But, you know, he did the same thing last time. So then we find out that the Schmeck's tape is not him on the tape. His mama, he said that his mama told him Wendy cheated. She wanted to show him the tape, but he didn't want to watch it. So Jax tell him, hey, you need to watch this tape so you can hear the voice if you can recognize that voice that is on that tape, right? So I feel like once again, Ozzy has put them in a bad situation because you knew about this tape, you knew about this video that was out, and you failed to tell Jax and Bill. So Ozzy is watching a video over and over and over to see who's on the tape. But while he's watching the tape, he's replaying the relationship with him and Wendy's relationship. He's replaying it in his mind over and over. And he is really distraught because at this point, he was crying. So I was like, well, I bet you it was the daddy. Because y'all know that daddy been way too quiet for me. So anyway, Rosie, Ozzy's mom, she stopped by to visit Jax. Jax tell her about the Schmeck's tape. You know, talk to her about that Schmeck's tape and tell her, Ozzy wasn't able to identify the man on the tape. Miss Rosie said, oh, my poor baby. Jax said, girl, please. Okay? You use that tape to get Ozzy to break things off with Wendy. So for you to sit here and act like, oh, boy, it's me, my baby. Girl, get the fuck up out of here. Okay? That's what we all are thinking. So Rosie said she's prepared to save her son. And y'all know by any means necessary. Which is why Ozzy has not learned anything. And let me just say this. Not only can Ozzy not be trusted, but this whole entire family is not to be trusted. So Rosie on the stand performing, doing her best 1-2, kind of like Monica. And she throws her husband under the bus. And I was like, oh, I knew it. She said that that was the husband on the Schmeck's tape, and said that he left the night of Wendy's murder. And said she admitted to lying to the police the night of the murder when she was being questioned. And she said she also found the videotape, the Schmeck's tape in her husband's office. And I was like, girl, I know you lying. So they in a car. Her and Rosie and that husband of hers is in a car. We find out that her husband has another mistress named Vanessa that he was balls deep in with. Like, I was like, girl, no ma'am. So Ozzy comes out of the courtroom and, back to in the parking lot, and he gets to trash and starts to throw up. He is deeply in pain about this Wendy situation. It's almost like he lovesick or something. I don't know. And now he wants Jax. He wants to go to Jax's house because I guess for him that somehow feels like home. And I don't think he wants to spend the night, but I do think he wants to go over there. And so Jax was like, you can't leave. And he has this fit. Like, we see him having little fits in this episode. And I was like, what is wrong with him? So anyway, in the next scene, we see Nisha. She's on a podcast called Fierce Nation. And she is on that podcast trashing Ozzy. And Nisha says she gonna tell it all on her Instagram live. Yada, yada, yada. So then Bill, in the next scene, we see Bill and Sally. And he lets her know that Chris is asking for some spousal support and to take the kids, like I guess get full custody of the kids and move them to Carolina because of the house. Chris is a bitch. Okay? Like, he want to act like he's not that person that is not trying to hurt Sally because he's still mad, but he is really trying to stick it to Sally, and he needs his ass whooped. Okay? And he's really mad because this lady broke off things with him and not sleeping with him. He still want to have his way with this lady, string her along, and take everything from her. Like, it's butthurt. He's butthurt. Anyway, Lewis tells Eddie, you need to tell her about Chelsea. And he was like, I cannot stand Eddie. I can't stand Eddie. He was like, oh, if that's what you want. You know what? So Eddie goes to Jax and say, Jax, you have a sister named Chelsea, and I was going to wait till after the court situation with everything you had going on. I was going to wait. But Lewis insists that I tell you. And so Jax is mad at Lewis because Lewis knew. He didn't tell her. She's mad at Mama Lou because Mama Lou didn't disclose that information. And she was like, that's not my story to tell. You cannot get mad at Lewis because that's not his story to tell. And even when somebody trying to tell you about your dad, you get a little defensive and you act like you don't want to hear it because you want to somehow believe this good version of your dad and he is trash and he ain't. Okay? So he tell Lewis, he found out. So now she pissed off because he hired Daniel to find out what was happening. And again, let me say this. Eddie tells Jax that Chelsea is a liar, and see how he just throws her under the bus as well. Like, he'll do everything to protect himself, to make himself look good in Jax's eyes, which sometimes leads me to believe, what is it that you're looking for? It's like you're trying to get in her good graces because you want something. Like, Eddie is a loser. I don't like it. So he throws Chelsea under the bus and says that she's a liar, she's unstable, and she's a thief. All right? And Jax don't need to be around her. And in this moment, there was no accountability taken by Lewis. I'm sorry, not by Lewis, by Eddie. He takes no accountability, but he had no problem throwing Lewis under the bus, and he also had no problem throwing Chelsea under the bus. I'm just looking at him like, really? Ugh, I can't stand him. I hope he don't come back next season. Like, just go. Anyway, they get a knock on the door, and it's Ozzy. Ozzy is there to have dinner with the family. And so, of course, Eddie has to make himself known. He has to make himself seen. He has to make himself be the most important person in the room. So he has a conversation, having a conversation with Ozzy, and lets Ozzy know, he was on drugs and all of the things, and that he'll get everything together. He'll be all right. And it was decent advice, but again, it just always feels like everything he does comes with a motive, and everything he does is because he always want to look like the good guy to Jax when he's just a terrible person. Anyway, Ozzy goes to the bathroom. He comes out. He looks at all of the pills, Mama Lou's pills, and he goes to it, holds the bottle, but we don't see him do anything. Now, we get over to Kristen and Daniel. He was about to say something to her, but she tells him, I think I'm in love with you. Like, beat him to the punch to try to, have him let his defenses down. And I think he was about to break up with her. But that's when she told him that she was in love with him, which I think is a lie. I just don't trust her. I don't. She can go. And so he goes to the bathroom, which was dumb because you left all of your stuff out here. And so she looked through his notebook and took tear the sheet out of the notebook where it says, what is she lying about or whatever. It's crazy. So Ozzy gives Jax the pills he stole from Mama Lou's bottle. And she feels bad. She was like, thank you, because most people wouldn't have given the pills back. And it was just that. He leaves and she's just taken aback by his behavior. So Chris stops over at Sally's house and she's pissed at him because not only are you trying to take my kids, your dumbass sent me flowers to try to smooth it over, to try to make me feel good about gut punching me. And she was like, nigga, you better buckle up because I'm coming for everything you got. You trying to take spousal support from me, collect spousal support, and you trying to take the kids? Talking about, well, you took the house. Get over it. It's gone. Get over it. And I can't say that because I ain't never been a homeowner. And I never been a homeowner whose spouse mortgaged the house and cousin skipped bail, so we lost our house. I ain't never been in that situation before ever in my life. So I don't understand, but it's just the way he's going about it. He's constantly trying to make Sally pay one way or another. He's trying to make her hurt because he's hurting. So in the next scene, we see Louis explain to Jax. He goes to Jax and apologizes about him knowing the situation and him not telling her about the situation. But he just really wanted to protect her, and he also felt like she should have a relationship with her sister. And so Louis was like, I don't need to focus on that right now. I basically need to focus on my mom's healing and also focus on Ozzy in this case. So in the next scene, you see Ozzy calling Nisha to let her know, threaten her not to go live on her Instagram. And that was that on it. So Bill gets served divorce papers by his wife. And then a partner comes in after he's been served. Like, the partner comes in to tell Bill, keep up the good work. And, in no time you'll see your partner, basically you'll become partner. And so Bill, once he leaves, Bill sheds a tear because, of course, he didn't want to divorce Kendra. But, hey, it is what it is. So we get over to Ozzy's house. His family is there. His mom, dad, sister. His mom, dad, and his sister are over there. And so the dad is on the phone with somebody, and it was like, oh, the way your mom testified today, she was such the drama queen. She was so dramatic. Her acting chops were on point, to the point where they're going to believe her, but I somehow may go to jail for this. So they're looking at each other. Kristen and Ozzy are like, what is really going on? What are you guys not saying? And so they was like, nothing. And so Ozzy has this fit where he just started to scream. And I was like, what the fuck's wrong with him? So we find out that tape is fake. His assistant, he lets them know that he's been sleeping with his assistant, Vanessa. The tape is with his assistant, Vanessa, and he's been sleeping with her for 9 years and 4 months. And apparently she's another white woman, which is why, if we gonna take it all the way back, which is why Miss Rosie was mad and wanted Ozzy to break up with Wendy. Because underneath all of that, she's pissed off at the dad for having a white mistress, and for her to be white. And she really feels away. And so, she couldn't control that, and she can't change that. So now she tried to, sway, what's his name, Ozzy, from seeing Wendy. So basically, it's just her projecting her stuff, and then she's doing a little bit of projection. I was like, this is a lot. So then we find out not only was the tape manufactured and it wasn't really Wendy on the tape, but it was his mistress, Vanessa, on the tape. But Alex was the one who changed Vanessa's face to Wendy. And Alex was paid by Rosie. And I guess Alex at some point became a problem. So she takes this moment to throw everything in Ozzy's face, everything that she has done for him. And I was like, girl, you got some nerve. You was all of y'all were all the way wrong. So Ozzy asked if she unalived Wendy. Alex, if she unalived both Alex and Wendy. She left. There was no resolve. There was no answer to the question. So now you got us thinking that you may most certainly, well, let me say this. Kristen unalived Alex. But you making us think that you have absolutely unalived Wendy because you had a lot of motive. Your motive was apparently this lady was sleeping with your husband, but to be honest with you, this lady was not sleeping with your husband. It was another woman that was sleeping with your husband. You were mad that your son was with a white woman and you did not want him with this white woman because your husband has cheated on you for 9 years current time with a white woman. It's crazy. So she gets up, her and her husband, she gets up and she leaves. Anyway, we see Chelsea sitting outside of Jax's house. Nisha gets on her live. She basically walked back everything she was going to say about Ozzy, and she apologized to Ozzy on her Instagram live. She turns off her Instagram live. We see Ozzy, and he has a smile on his face. Now I'm looking at him like, what did you do? Like, I don't understand. So Rosie calls Jax, and she lets him know that she think Ozzy was the one who actually unalived Wendy. Ozzy wakes up from another nightmare. Kristen runs into his room, and he tells Kristen that he's not sure if he thinks that he unalived Wendy. And this is where the episode ended. I was like, my God. Y'all, this is making my head spin because now we really don't know. Like, it went from us guessing from the sister. Now I'm back to thinking that it's Ozzy. The sister need to go to jail for Alex. The mama and the daddy need to go to jail for lying to the police, for planning that video. Ozzy needs to go to jail for Wendy, and Monica needs to go to jail for being a pedophile. Okay, she still need to be in jail. I don't care what nobody say. Anyway, y'all, that's all I got. The next video y'all gonna see for the end of the night is the Bell Collective, and I got some things to say because they irritated me just a little bit. It was good, but they irritated me. But anyway, I will come back to y'all with Bell Collective.